Okay, so I'm doing a little experiment today to kind of see the difference between the GoPro 11 right here and the Sony ZV E10. Now the ZV E10 is one I've had longer. It's a great camera, great vlogging on the go. The problem that I've had with it is I get to doing too much and then I forget about the whole purpose of what I was originally set out to do with the video. So I have the Hollyland mic that I use most of the time hooked to the GoPro 11. And this is just the external on the ZV E10, but it does have a dead count. I don't know how well it's picking up the sound though, because it's getting directions from everywhere, where this mic is just right here. So it's picking up, I'm probably gonna loop this back onto there. But yeah, so it'll be a cool little comparison between the two. That would be pretty dope to see the quality. I'm gonna color grade both. Okay, so if you've ever thought about getting into vlogging and shooting with a GoPro or a more higher end camera, I have both of them right here. So on the one hand, here's the GoPro 11, and then here's the Sony ZV E10 over here. So on the Sony, I have mounted the 16mm Sigma lens for a crop sensor camera, which the ZV E10 is a crop sensor camera. The GoPro, I have the stock lens. I don't have the max mod, none of that. I'm shooting in log right now using S-Log 2 on the Sony. And then the GoPro, I have it on medium sharpness and the normal color settings. Once again, on the GoPro 11, 5.3K, 4K on the Sony, shooting at 24 frames on the GoPro as well. Now, some of the biggest things that I have to consider when I'm using either of these is, what am I going to use it for? So, for instance, if I want to do a lot of social media, you know, the Sony, if I have a small rig like I have on here right now, then I'm able to mount the vlogging handle thing that they sell for it. I forget what it's called, but it's like, let me put these damn arms getting tired. So this right here is like 80, 90 bucks. And you see right there, I'm able to mount this vertically to shoot for social, which is great. And then you can also mount it to any side. Honestly, there's threaded holes all over the small rig. Now, mind you, this setup right here, that lens is about 400 bucks. The small rig cage, I don't remember, but I want to say somewhere around maybe 60 to 90 bucks. And then the handle around $90. The camera itself, when I bought it, was 700 bucks. So this is over $1,000 for that setup, not including any mics or lighting. Now, this right here, the GoPro, the 11, the GoPro, if you buy it brand new retail, not on a deal, it's around, it's like $3 something. I want to say close to $400 at Best Buy. The media mod that you need, that you have to use if you want to plug in like a mic, like I have a lav mic right here. This thing right here runs you about another, what, like $50, $60. I can't remember. I got it on discount, but it was brand new. And then also the Volta right here. This serves as a remote for the GoPro. It is also an external battery you can use to recharge a GoPro on the go, because these batteries are pretty small, especially when you're shooting at higher quality like I do a lot of times, 4K, 5.3K, 2.7 at 240 frames, things like that. It uses more juice. So that's always good to keep this thing charged. It adds more life to it. It does not have pass-through charging while you're recording. Now the GoPro can be on and you can pass through charge with it on, but while it's recording, it will not charge. So it'll only charge in between recordings. Now, the problem that I have with the Volta, without getting more attachments, I can't exactly vlog with the, like, holding up like normal. I have to hold it sideways and remember to, But I mean, still, like the thumb controls and everything is still pretty, I mean, but compared to my Sony, the Sony handle, I can mount this anywhere around there and have it set up vertical or horizontal, whatever. Now, the GoPro is going to have the better in-body stabilization. I don't know if they exactly call it IBIS, but you can put it in a mode where it'll do what is called a horizon lock, where no matter which way the GoPro spins, it will still stay the same way. This camera, on the other hand, does not do that. So if we watch right here, show y'all an example. Let me start. You start to move and spin. It's gonna look more smooth in the GoPro. Now it does have some sort of stabilization, but it's not the best. If you're doing a lot of movement, especially on a more macro or micro, I mean, it's not gonna show as well. I don't know if you can tell from what I just did, but normally when I'm filming with that, there's a lot of warping with the background, which is something you have to worry about with these bigger sensors and stuff. This one right here doesn't necessarily have that issue. It's very more smooth and fluid anytime I record. So a lot of times when I'm filming, depending on what I'm filming, I have to put this on a gimbal. It's just the way it is. So both of these I can hook external mics to, but of course, with the GoPro, that is an obnoxiously loud Mustang. I hope this mic was working good enough to where you can hear me. But with the GoPro, you have to have the media mod to hook in any kind of external mics. With the Sony, ready to go, plug and play. I can hook external monitors to it, all of that, you know, without the small rig. The small rig is helpful though, because you can then attach things to the body of the camera. Now, a lot of cinema cameras are built like that, but you're gonna pay a lot more money for that. With the GoPro, you get the hot shoe mounts and stuff for your whatever attachments. They have a mod light. I have my own light that I hook to it. It was a gift from a friend. Then plus there's this actually a mic here, right here, built onto the media mod, which is pretty cool. But both of them do have the front facing display where you can see yourself. I can see what I'm doing now. But a lot of times I'll catch myself looking up at the monitor and forget to look at the lens, and it looks like I'm kind of looking past the camera. The GoPro is a bit better because it's spaced so close that even when I'm looking at the screen, it still looks like I'm looking directly at the lens. So pros and cons to both of them. At the end of the day, depending on what you're filming, if you need a higher quality, you know, the Sony cameras are the way to go. They have the best look, but you'll also, like, you're paying for things like log and interchangeable lenses and things like that. If you're trying to keep it more simple, which is why I bought the GoPro, because I bought the GoPro after the Sony, then the GoPro is a lot more easier to deal with. You can beat these up a bit more. Like, I'm not gonna take the Sony and beat it to death. I'll shoot in the rain with it and stuff, but you know, I'm iffy about having it that close to water. This right here, not so worried about it. It's cheaper, it's more durable. I've had GoPros before, didn't have any problems with them. I just didn't have the creative control I quite wanted that I would have with my professional cameras, you know, my Sony, my A7 II, this one, my T4i, my Lumix, any of that. Like the first time I had my first 4K camera, I went nuts. GoPros, they shoot 4K, but then also it's a smaller sensor. So the darker it gets, the noisier it'll get. You know, it'll crank the ISO. You'll have to go in and set what you want your max ISO to be. So when it gets dark, it doesn't get so grainy, but it's still not gonna pick up as much detail as a bigger sensor like the Sony. Like right now, as the sun is setting, I'd bet money that it probably looks easier or looks better on the Sony. The Sony has, you know, it's tracking right now, like it's following my eyeball. It has a little box on my eyeball as I move. It keeps the focus on me. With this, not so much, but you're kind of always in frame. You don't really have to worry about it. So vlogging, this might actually be the easier camera, but this is more versatile. You can do more things with this. I've done professional jobs with this, with the Sony. I've done professional jobs where people pay me to film weddings or film commercials or film their vlogs or whatever. Like plenty of people I've worked for and have made happy customers with this Sony ZV E10, and even with my A7 II before, which is a very old camera. Now, the GoPro, I haven't quite taken on any professional jobs, but I'd be willing to try it just because I am now confident enough in the stability that I feel that the video quality looks quite good. For my own personal videos I've made with it, it was, man, it made me pretty happy. Even shooting with the 9. I have a GoPro 9 as well, which same build as this, uses the same mod attachments and whatnot, but it doesn't work well in low. I'm not gonna say it doesn't work well. It doesn't work as well as this one in low light. But at the end of the day, the ZV E10, in my opinion, takes the cake when it comes to low light. I even think right now the battery on the ZV E10 has more juice than what this is. But of course, that's shooting at 4K 24. This is 5.3 24, 5.3K 24. So I don't know. Like I said, pros and cons to both. And also, forgot to mention, the Volta recharges. The Sony uses one of those watch batteries. You always have to change them out, but they last freaking forever. This thing will turn itself on in my camera bag. And like, that's why I have to remember to leave the lock switch on. It has a lock switch so it doesn't accidentally do whatever. But I've never really ever had to change the battery in it since I bought it. One time I did change the battery in it, but then I forgot I had the lock switch on the whole time. Realized to put the battery back in. I was like, oh, it's still good. So little things to consider. If y'all have any kind of questions about this stuff for me, let me know. I'll be more than happy to talk about this. Any of y'all want to learn more about these cameras, I've been doing this since 2018. I've been doing photography since 2018, video since more into 2019, but I've done it professionally. I've done it for all types of different clients, all types of different jobs. Weird stuff gets thrown at me every now and then too. So any of y'all interested in learning any of this, holler at me. I'll be more than happy to educate you. Lenses, gear, whatever.